Well, a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2018 UK Internet Governance Forum. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all. And this is the 10th year now which Nominet's supported this event. And so we're delighted to continue our support. And it's good to see so many familiar faces, as well as welcoming new voices to discuss the governance challenges and opportunities facing the UK's digital future. As the circuitry of the European and UK political landscape get rewired, much uncertainty lies ahead for the UK tech sector, a sector responsible for over 1 million jobs and the fastest growing sector of the UK. Now, with the current least bad scenario gaining currency, we support the draft terms of the withdrawal agreement as it applies to data transfers between the UK and the EU going forwards. And that was a key ask for us. And today's theme is about looking forward, discussing the solutions needed for a digital age. And for the UK, I believe that there's some important building blocks of this. First off is the access to people and skills. And as an industry, we need to attract digital expertise to the UK while simultaneously building a coordinated long-term skills strategy that encourages many things, including diversity. The second component I think is important is tax incentives for investment and access to capital. We need to boost R&D. We need to look at tax credits as a vehicle for doing that, and we need to expand incentives for investments into innovation. And the third component on my list of building blocks, if you will, for the UK tech sector is around delivering market access for tech businesses. And what I mean by that is ensuring the border is as frictionless as possible to maintain supply chains for services. Now, beyond the obvious political priorities, there are other issues on the horizon requiring focus from all of us with a stake in how the internet governance is run. Running the UK infrastructure and providing cybersecurity services to government makes us very alive to the ever-present challenge of keeping the digital world safe and secure. We are all here today to encourage strong stewardship and governance of the internet and help create a more vibrant digital future. However, there are some recent technical developments that are rapidly evolving and may be falling under the radar of many of the industry stakeholders. Let me explain. Many of you will know that the domain name system is the lifeblood of the internet. It's like a phone book for the internet, or for those under 30, a smartphone contact list. Working away behind the scenes, the DNS and its associated infrastructure connects people looking for information online with the server that hosts the website's content. And it does this instantly. And in the case of .uk traffic, that's 4 billion times a day. And DNS is also used as a means to provide security to networks, including home users, by blocking bad sites, such as those serving malware or hosting illegal content. Now, in the past few weeks, the Internet Engineering Task Force, an independent body that agrees technical standards for the internet, has approved a new protocol. This new protocol, called DNS over HTTPS, I'll say that quite slowly, or DOH is another phrase which is commonly referred to, is really one that I want to focus on today. And without getting into the technical detail, it essentially creates a way for your web browser to find the content of a website without making the request visible through DNS. Now, this may sound like a good idea from a privacy standpoint. I'm sure that's how the IETF intended it to evolve. However, a consequence is that it becomes very difficult to protect users from bad sites on the internet if you can't see the DNS traffic. If this new standard were to be switched on as a default by web browsers, which they seem to be considering, we will need to rethink how we tackle internet safety and security in the future, because some of the tried and tested approaches simply will be bypassed by this technology. Now, this matters because a range of safety, security, and legal measures currently rely on DNS. Let me give you some examples. Parental control. As a father of 2 kids, I'm very focused on making sure they're safe online. I'd like to know when they're accessing sites, and that could be compromised. Content filtering to help prevent people from accessing child sexual abuse materials, terrorist materials, or other illegal content, either intentionally or unintentionally. Law enforcement rely on DNS as well. They will have the access to the internet traffic for investigatory purposes. Companies trying to connect people, but also protect them, on either their employees or their customers needs to be protected online via DNS. So as currently planned, the new ways to deal with these measures would be needed if the protocol becomes the new normal. And finally, but importantly, the new protocol also raises questions about the centralization of the internet. If data from DNS queries made all over the world move to the resolver provided by browsers. So we're watching this development very carefully and closely, and we invite others who also share these concerns to talk to us so we can have a more unified voice back to the IETF. Now, as a cybersecurity provider, custodian of the UK namespace, and part of the critical national infrastructure, I'm very interested in 2 of the topics being covered on what I think is a fantastic agenda today. Those 2 topics are around cybersecurity and online safety. And that's because they relate to the work that Nominet's doing. The National Cybersecurity Centre recently published their report on active cyber defence, and we're very proud that there are references to Nominet's work blocking 11,000 malicious domains from getting into the public sector every month. But that number provokes mixed feelings. On the one hand, it's satisfying that we're blocking so many threats, but on the other hand, it's quite a wake-up call that so many threats are aimed at the public sector network every month. Now, our own criminal domains report out yesterday shows that the suspensions of domains have doubled in the last year. Now, that's certainly a sign that law enforcement, Nominet, and our own registrars are working in unison to tackle online crime. But it also highlights the scale of the task ahead of us. And I know that this is a priority for the Minister, and we're very grateful for her leadership to help tackle some of these things and keep the UK one of the safest places to be online. So the theme for today, Solutions for a Digital Age, is therefore more relevant than ever, and I firmly believe that the UK is well placed to continue its leadership role in the global governance internet debates. Moving on to today. Today we're going to hear from experts in business, civil society, the internet sector, and government on a variety of topics, including cybersecurity and the Internet of Things, online safety in the UK, and the ethics of data exploitation. For those here for the first time, you're in store for a fantastic day, I think. There's a really good agenda that has been outlined by the committee, and I'd like to thank the organising committee for all their work they've done to get to this point. It's a really fascinating day ahead.